Hello, my name is Stephen Thomas. In today's video, we're going to talk about getting started with the Google Gemini API. Let's talk quickly about really the three core frameworks for interacting with these large language models via the API. There are three core frameworks. Number one is going to be the OpenAI framework, definitely the most known about framework. You can see some of the specifics about it here. Second in line is going to be the Anthropic's Claude framework, which can be used for interacting with Anthropic models. And what we're going to focus on here is the Google Gemini framework. And that's obviously used for interacting with Google Gemini models. That's going to be their text models, their image models, their video models, and audio models, all through the same framework. So why do the frameworks matter? With the three core frameworks, the OpenAI framework is definitely the most well-known and most adopted. Other large language model providers actually have adopted that same message structure. So providers like Moonshot using the Kimi K2.5 model, you can actually use the exact same framework. You just change your auth token, the model name, and the URL, and you can interchange those perfectly fine. So nearly any large language model provider that says they're OpenAI compliant, that means you could very easily interchange these models with each other, which is nice. The Anthropic model is also very popular because it is so tightly integrated with coding. And as far as Anthropic's framework goes, Minimax 2.5 is really the only one I know of that's interchangeable with the Anthropic's setup, and that's because that model is so highly tiered towards coding. That's really what it's designed for. They made it very easy to swap that out. So if you want to swap that out in your Claude Code environment, for example. So what we're going to talk about here, though, is that Google Gemini ecosystem. Now that's going to be fine-tuned just for the Google models, and we'll see what all these calls look like one by one as we walk through this. So support for these frameworks varies. You can see here that Google Gemini is kind of the least supported across multiple ecosystems. Anthropic is going to be the largest supported, followed by OpenAI. But OpenAI really and Anthropic really kind of would have the same support because there's community support for some of these frameworks. Now, this is important depending on your programming language of choice. I tend to go with C#. So you can see here I don't have an official downloadable SDK for that from the Gemini side. But I do a lot of my work with workflow tools such as Logic Apps. And that's why I care about what the API interaction is going to be like. How are you going to interact with these models using a RESTful message? So a JSON request in, a JSON response back. And that's what we're going to dive into. And we're going to dive in and let's take a look at calling text, image, and then video generation on the Gemini side. So first off, we have our text generation. Now, one of the big differences between the Gemini model as compared to OpenAI and Anthropic is Gemini puts the model name in the URL itself. So you'll see that in these calls at the top. Now, the other providers put it as a parameter inside of the JSON message. Now, this is going to be what it looks like to make a Gemini 3.1 Pro call. You have your hard-coded system instructions, which is a defined node, and then you have your contents where you would have your parts, which would be like your user instructions. Now, cost-wise, you're looking at $2 per million input tokens and around $12 per million output tokens. And that is comparable with other large language models calling into their flagship model. Now, if you're looking at models that are originated from China, those are going to run in about a fifth of the cost, so around $3 for output tokens, just to kind of give you some comparison. Now, next, we're going to look at the image generation. And there's really two core types of image generation on the Gemini side. There's going to be an image gen, which is currently at 4.0 version, and that is a cost per image, either 2, 4, 6 cents, depending on the quality of the image you want. Now, you would depend on the quality based on the model name. So again, you would change your URL based on the image quality that you would want out. Now you see the structure here is very different than what we saw from text generation. You pass in an instances segment along with the prompt that you want to execute. You can pass in some parameters. This allows you to return up to 4 images being generated at one time based on the same prompt. So you can set that 1 to 4. Variable aspect ratios, they support quite a few, and the image size can be 1K or 2K. So this is a very popular way to generate images to use in like presentations and stock photos, stuff like that. I've used this one a lot myself. And next is going to be what everybody is probably more familiar with, which is the Nano banana image model. This is where you can actually do image merging and image editing, where you could pass in input as base64 encoded. I don't show it here on this sample input, but you can pass that in. Cost here is going to be 13 cents or 24 cents if you're dealing with 4K. And then each iteration of editing that image, of course, is going to be an additional cost. And you can see here, it's a little more similar to the text generation model where you have your contents that you pass in, but you don't pass in any system instructions into this. And last, we're going to take a look at video generation. That's done using their VO 3.1 model, which is their latest. And this follows more of the Imagen approach where you have the instances section, and that's going to be step one in your process. And that's going to return you essentially an ID for a ticket, essentially, of that image generation process. You're then going to make a second call in to find out the status of that video generation. And once it is completed, you would then make a third call in to actually download that video that you've created. So it's a three-step process, and we'll walk through all three of those steps. Now, you can generate clips up to 8 seconds long currently, and the cost is either 40 cents for HD or 60 cents for 4K. And now the big takeaway here is that's per second. And I didn't know this when I first started playing with this, created a whole bunch of videos of cats playing around and got a bill for about 30 bucks. So keep in mind that's going to be per second. So make sure you feed this into your workflows in the appropriate place and are able to monetize that correctly if you are charging for that service. So now let's go ahead and see these in action. Okay, I've now jumped over to Postman, which is my tool of choice for interacting with all these APIs of these large language models. Makes it very easy to see your requests in and requests out. And then if I was going to implement this in an application, I would then take these requests out of here and then embed those in those applications. So I have a nice way to test them here. So you can see I have all our Gemini API calls set up over here. This is going to be our call for our text completion, and I'm going to pass in my system instructions and my user instructions here. It's going to ask for latest news about AI. You can see the model name that I've set up here in the URL. And then over in headers is the only thing that you need to set in headers is the Google API key. And this is going to be your API key that you're going to get from Google yourself. So I'm going to jump over here and I am going to send this request. Now, generally this takes about 30 seconds or so. In testing it earlier today, things were running a little bit slower. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and jump back once we get this response back. Okay, I'm back now. That took just a little bit over a minute, and you can see the response I got here. It's the text part of this response is what I would be looking at if I wanted to consume this output. So now I could have in the system instructions defined the outputs in a more structured manner, but just for this demo, I just let it do whatever it wanted. We can see the output there, in addition to some thought signature that you're going to see below. And then at the very bottom, you're going to see some usage details about how many tokens you used input and output for this call. So all very useful here. Again, it does tell you what model was used just in case you wanted to confirm that. So this is how you would interact with the text generation part of the Google Gemini API. Now let's jump over to the image gen. And in this case, I'm going to pass in my instance prompt, frog on a log with a hat and a bat. And now what you see that's different here is that obviously the structure of the inbound message is going to be different and the URL is going to be different. Now my API key is going to be exactly the same, so I'm not going to jump over and show that again. I'm going to get 4 sample count here. We're going to go ahead and send this, and this will take just a moment. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, and that was actually a lot quicker than the text generation, which is kind of ironic. And you can see here in my output, they're going to be base 64 encoded representations of that response. And I wrote a little parsing script here in Postman. I just click on visualization, and it's going to show me exactly what these look like right here in the Postman tool, which I think is pretty cool. If you want to create those little post-processing scripts yourself, no skill is required. You come over to Postman AI and just tell it what you want, and it'll create it for you. Super simple experience there. So here's our images, just as we would expect, and those are pretty cool. And to get these images in your application, you would just implement it using the same JSON request message here. Now let's take a look at Nano Banana. And it's going to have a input message that's going to be similar to what we saw with text generation. And again, I'm going to do frog on a log with a hat and a bat. In this case, we can't specify the number of images we want back. It's just going to be 1. Going to hit send. And one of the things different here again is going to be this model name, which is going to be in the URL. And of course, the structure of the input JSON is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to Oh, and it came back already. And again, it did come back again as base64 encoded text. So if you were handling this programmatically, you would have to account for that. Again, I have my post-processing step. Click over here, gives me a nice breakdown of my usage and token information there. And you can see here, it's a little more realistic, I would say, looking of the frog on the log. Definitely looks like that frog sitting right there on that log in that picture. So very bit different styles between the Imagen and Nano Banana. Now, if I wanted to do image editing here, I could further pass this in as context and then edit this image. It does allow for that. So now let's jump over to the video generation. And similar what we saw here, URL is going to be different again. And the prompt similar more to the Imagen approach, where I'm going to say a claw game filled with a few cats. Claw is moving, picks up a fat cat, and drops it because it's too big. Now, growing up, I had a very large cat, 23 pounds, big yellow cat, loved him to death, and I want to see if I can get a picture of him in this bear claw. So I better say it picks up a fat orange cat, orange yellow, and let's see what our output is. Now, remember, it's going to cost me 40 cents per second, but I think it's well worth it to see what we get out here. So I'm going to send this. And what it returns to us is a URL down here at the bottom. The far right part of the URL here is essentially the tracking information related to that video. And I'm going to copy and paste this. And we're going to move it down here to our second part of our process here. Remember, it's a three-step process. And I'm going to paste that URL to the end of my request here. And this is actually a get command. And I still have my authorization header with my token set up in there. And I'm going to call into this and find out the status of this request. Now, if I call into this and just get the name back, that top level node here, if I just get the name back, that means it's still processing. In this case, I got done equals true back, and I got the video URL back right here to get our video. Now, in general, this will take a few moments for it, a few minutes, probably up to 5 minutes for it to generate. Sometimes it will be busy. You get a response back that says model is too busy, please try again later, in which case you'll have to try again later. So let's go ahead and copy this URL out of here and take it to our third step, and I'm going to paste it in here. Now, this is doing a get again, and as we saw before, we do still have to have our authorization header here. This is not a publicly accessible URL. You still do need to authenticate. And I'm going to hit send on this, and that's going to hopefully download our video right here. And sure enough, there's our video. And let's see what this looks like. There's our cat getting picked up. And just as we expected, yep, cat is too big to be won in the claw game. So just to give you an idea of the video generation of that model here, pretty cool there. So the purpose of all this is to see how you could interact with the Google Gemini API using a RESTful approach. So if you're doing like a workflow type process. So let's see this in action. Here is one of my Azure Logic apps, and this is to process inbound image requests via the Gemini API. And what we see here, just to give you an idea of this, what this looks like in action, is this is a gatekeeper request here, which is taking whatever the user input is and creating our system response along with our text response, which is our user input there. And what I'm doing here is looking through, checking to make sure it's not unsafe content, self-harm, political, and then here you can apply any custom business domain knowledge that you want to filter out. So if you worked for Coca-Cola, for example, you could say, don't generate any images that are Pepsi related or whatever your business requirements were there. Then I pass it into my Gemini via HTTP. Then I get my response back. And then here I come in here and parse that response of that object, doing some JSON and manipulation and interpreting into that JSON response to get back what I'm expecting. And then I further come down here. If it's a valid response, then I do some more work generating the input prompt to the image model. And then I do actually come here and call my Google Gemini Imagen model to generate that image. So what I wanted to show you here is this is an example of an implementation built on top of the Google Gemini API. So hopefully this gives you an idea of what it looks like to get started with the Google Gemini API. And we talked about looking at text, images, and video. There is an audio component as well, which I didn't go into here. as well as some others like web search and stuff like that. But this should give you a good idea of how to get started. I have links in the video comment below to jump to the API documentation for all three of these that we covered here, and it will give you even more detailed information than what we covered here. So thank you for taking your time to take a look at this video. I have some other videos jumping into the APIs of some of our other models. Take a look at them if you're interested, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.